Today I'd like to share with you a map of seeing reality. Now maps are neither true nor false, they're just maps that take you where you want to go or maps that don't take you where you want to go. And it's the same with beliefs. There are no right or wrong beliefs, there are beliefs that take you where you want to go or beliefs that don't. So today I'd like to offer you a new map of seeing reality. For as we change the map, so maybe we change our destination. And the first thing we have to know before we choose a map is, where do we want to go? And in this case, I would suggest that what we need to do is focus on a map that would take us into what it is we really want. And for most people that I've counseled, people that I've spoken to, when you boil it all the way down, you find that what most people are looking for are things like peace, like love, life-centeredness, like ease. And we have to assess the way we're living our lives. Are they in alignment with that end goal? And so I'd like to share with you today a map of reality. I call it the matrix map. And if we start to see the world through this particular perception, I believe that we can live our lives more aligned with what it is we really want. So for most people, reality is a timeline. It's a line we're born on, a certain date, and then we move through our life, and eventually we shuttle off our mortal coil, and there's an end date. And so our life is actually, on our tombstone we have two dates, the day we're born, the day we die, and there's a dash between. And for most people, this is a dash from birth to death, and most people are on the timeline here, running to some future time which is going to obviously give them everything that they want. It's going to give you love and fulfillment and joy and peace and all of that. And that's the sort of normal way of living our life. But let's maybe look at it slightly differently today. Let's just say that you're in the middle here. This is you right now today, right here in the present moment. And as you are standing here today, or sitting here today, you have a big bubble coming out of your head. And this bubble is made up of your thoughts about the past. And this is your story. We're going to say it's his story. And this bubble is everything that you know about yourself. In fact, it gives you a sense of identity. You know, I am everything that I've experienced. I was given a name over here, and into that name I've put all of these experiences. Winston Churchill's definition of history is one damn thing after another. So a lot of people's lives are like this. You know, you sort one thing out and then you got another thing happening. So that's really history, and that's made possible, that bubble is made possible because of the brain's ability to remember. Memory. And then we have another bubble coming out of our head over here, and that is the bubble of future. Future. And that's made possible through the brain's ability to anticipate. Anticipate. And we continually, as we move through our day, move from memory into anticipation, from our past into our future. And these two bubbles are built up with bricks, and we get given 60,000 of those bricks every day. And they are our thoughts, 60,000 thoughts a day. I counted them when I was bored one day, and neuroscience tells us it's somewhere between 40 and 70,000 thoughts a day. I actually don't know who counted them. I definitely didn't. So each of these bubbles is made up of those thoughts. When we wake up in the morning, we have no bubbles, but very quickly, within seconds of waking up, we rebuild our story. And this is the mind matrix. The mind matrix, and it requires time. Mind matrix requiring time. This whole way of living our lives is in the fourth dimension, and the fourth dimension are 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time, said Albert Einstein. So that is normal, And I'm going to suggest that normal is mad. And we're going to see in a moment why I say that. This matrix is ruled by a paradigm of false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Fear. And fear is what drives most people. Most people go to school out of fear. They go to university out of fear. They be good from fear. People go to church from fear. They exercise from fear. They eat from fear. And fear seems to be the driving force in the world, particularly at the moment. We can see it quite easily. People are doing ridiculous things because of fear at the moment. It's becoming more and more prevalent, driven by the media, I believe. And that's a sort of normal way of living our lives, fear. People stay in relationships from fear. People stay in careers from fear of what's going to happen in the future. And maybe there's another way of living our lives. Maybe, to live constantly in fear, always striving for a future time when I hope, I'm going to put that word in over here, when I hope I'm going to find fulfillment. So we live in hope, and hope is like the carrot at the end of the stick that the donkey is always chasing after. It's always ahead of you, always ahead of you, always ahead of you. You'll never get there. And that is one 4-letter word that I believe in order to find what we're really looking for, we have to do away with. And yet it's the one word that people really don't want to give up, that word hope, which drives us into the future. Now, there's another way of living our lives, I believe, and that is when we start to realize that the only place that's really real for us is this tiny little dot on the timeline here. Now, this little dot on the timeline intersects the timeline between past and future. And in fact, when this little egoic, this is the ego, when the egoic personality means that which you blow wind through, that which you talk through, that which is the mask which we present to the world. When the ego gets to this little point over here, where there's actually no story, that scares the ego a bit, and we quickly bypass that and run off into the future. This is rather like running down the road and finding an empty space. There's a manhole cover that's been stolen. There's nothing there. There's an empty hole, and we jump over the empty hole and we run off into the future again. And this little empty hole I'm going to talk a little bit about, because the only thing that's real in this whole matrix is this little collapse point over here where time completely collapses. And that little collapse point is called the now, the present moment, where there is no story. There's just a sense of isness in this moment. And I'm going to draw a line in the vertical plane which intersects the horizontal plane. Now, the horizontal plane is a plane of time, moving from when you're born to when you die, and there's all these little events that happen along your path. And if you don't change your mind, then your past will replicate itself in the future. So it'll be one damn thing after another in your past, and one damn thing after another in your future. Nothing ever changes really if you don't change your mind, because this is the mind. This is the mind. The mind requires time. Mind and time are the same thing. And here we have a different paradigm. It's the vertical plane. It drops through the horizontal plane in the same way that a light at the back of the cinema shines through the moving film. 24 frames a second, come past the light, and it projects a certain reality for the viewers. This depth of light, we can give different names to it. We can call it the light. That's a nice word for it. The light that shines through the mind. It's the light of awareness. It's the light of now, of presence. It is in fact life. Life is only ever here and now. I know when people ask you, tell me about your life, you tell them about your story, about your past and your future. That isn't life. The only time that life can be perceived or experienced directly is in the present moment. In fact, what animates your body right now is life. And life is always here and now. Another way of looking at it is we can call this the I am. The I am. Now, in my case, I can say, well, I am John, and I can put the word John here. Now, John is part of the matrix, because John was given a birth certificate over here and be given a death certificate over here. And it's a story. But the essence of who I am isn't the name, because I can go and change my name. I can go to the deeds office, change my name. But I can never change this, the I am. So the I am is the pure essence of who I really am. John is a personality, a story, an egoic creation. So we can say I am. Another way of looking at this is if we label this little man running along here, or this little woman running along here, we can label this story here as the human doing. The human doing. And that is normal, the human doingness. This we can label the human being. When your humanness connects and intersects with your beingness, that's when you are alive. That's life itself. And if you have a look at this symbol, it looks very similar to the cross in the Christian religion. And that's exactly what it comes from. It comes from the mind intersected by life, by I am presence. And in fact, it's intersected, another word that we can use here. We can use the word spirit. Spirit. So it's actually mind intersected with spirit. While this plane here is about things and doing, things that can be labeled, this, although I've used labels here, words to describe this, in fact, this is not a thingness. This is a beingness. And as such, labels don't really apply. But I'm using labels so that we can try and understand it, although this plane cannot be understood because your mind can only understand things. This is not a thingness. This is almost space or the light that allows this to exist in your awareness. And so the word that I've used, I am, or the word being, or the word awareness, or the word now, presence, or life, we would perceive them with our mind as different things. But I am is not a thing. Being isn't a thing. Awareness, now, presence, life are not things. They are experiences. They are energy, pure energy that can't be contained in time and space. They are everywhere all at once. They're what's called non-local. They're everywhere all at once. Where something in a timeline is limited in time and space. What else cannot be limited in time and space? What else is not a thing, although the mind makes it out to be a thing? Well, one of the things that most of us yearn most for is this love. Unconditional love. We want to be accepted. We want to be appreciated. We want to be allowed to be who we are. And that is love. Now, where in this is love? Well, we might put love in our story. Remember over here when we were loved by someone over here and then they left us? That was a positive emotion, and then it turned to hate, which is a negative emotion. And the reason we have this polarized perception of love here is because everything in the matrix is polarized. Everything in the matrix has a positive and a negative, has an up and a down. Everything here. Because this is a dualistic universe. In other words, you have male, female, good, bad, up, down, light, dark. That's all in here. And everything we put into here has a polar opposite. And so what the mind would like to do is just accumulate all these positives, all these mountain peaks over there. The mind says, well, I'll live a successful life when I get rid of all the negatives under the line and just accumulate all the positives above the line. And then I'll be happy. And that's an impossibility because you can't have a mountain peak without a valley. There's no such thing as a one-sided coin. Where you have an inside, you have an outside. Where you have an up, you have a down. Where you have a good, you have a bad. And that's the world of duality, and I say that's the normal mind way of perceiving reality. Mind is very good at judging. That's what the mind does. Hot, cold. That's what the mind is for. It's to divide and to judge. That's what the mind does. Now in this realm, there is no opposite. This is just a state of isness. Let me write that word down. I love this. This is actually, if you look at this can be thought of when Jesus 2,000 years ago said, I want you to have an abundant life. I want you to dig deep and build your house on a rock. And that rock is the rock of isness. Some people have interpreted that to mean the rock of my religion. Well, your religion is a thing. It was created in time and it disappears in time. And our religions were not around 2,000 years ago. They were all later inventions. And so, no, he was pointing towards eternity, which is isness. This is eternity, that is time. Eternity isn't endless time. Eternity is what's being experienced now. Now is eternal, never goes anywhere, it doesn't change, it's always the now. You can ask yourself that question any time you like. What time is it? It's now. So this is eternity, and that is the horizontal plane, which is based in time. So getting back to this idea of love that we really yearn for. We don't yearn for judgmental, transitory love. We yearn for eternal love. In our body, we have an organ that we would associate with love, and that would be the heart. And the heart is in the vertical plane because your body is in the vertical plane. It's only your mind that has a horizontal perception, a matrix. Your body is always in the here and now. The heart, which sort of symbolizes the focus of consciousness in the realm of love, is in the vertical plane. So love is in the vertical plane. We can put the word love in here as well. Love, the mind tries, as I say, to make it into a positive thing, but it isn't positive, it's not negative, it's just an isness, it's an acceptance, it's a connection, it's a community, it's an appreciation. That's what love is. And I'm going to write those couple of words down. So the word love can be split into allow, accept, and appreciate. So if you just look at those three attributes, they probably help us understand or to move in the direction of what love is really about. So earlier I said that the horizontal plane is actually mad, and I'm going to just illustrate that for you. If you were going to go into a sanatorium, place that housed really, really insane people, and you met someone and you had a conversation with them, they would be telling you things about a reality that they're experiencing that you cannot perceive. They would be telling you about a reality that doesn't exist here. It exists in their mind. They'd be telling you stories in their mind that they believe 100% are real. 100% are real. So the lack of presence creates insanity. The more you move away from this central point over here, the more insane you become. If you live completely in the future, you're mad. If you live completely in the past, you're mad. If you live or align your awareness in presence and draw on memories from the past and draw from projections in the future, in other words, you can use your mind to strategize, but you don't live there. You can use your life to remember, your mind to remember something, but you don't live there. You live here, aligned with life. You're sane. The more you live in the vertical plane, the more sane you are. And there's another lovely signpost which I'm going to put in here, the word ease. The more aligned with the vertical plane, the more at ease you are. The more aligned with your story, the more dis-ease you become. The more diseased, the more unhappy, the more depressed, the more angry, the more anxious. These are all emotions that happen in the mind from living in the matrix. Everything that we really, really, really want is available to us here and now in the vertical plane. And this is not a new belief system. This is applicable. This is experiential here and now. And that's what our work is all about. To help people let go of the reality that they have built up to their story and come back into alignment with life, with presence, with love. Hopefully you found this presentation helpful. I'm going to give you a tool to help you realize this more and more and more in your life. That'll be in the next video. Thank you.